Hey everyone, this is Sylvia and Lori. Before we air this week's episode, we just wanted to give a heads up that this episode was recorded just after the shooting at Tops Grocery, but days before the shooting at Robb Elementary.
Sylvia and I are sending peace, infinite love, and light to all affected by these tragedies.
This is episode 14 of What's Been Better. This week, we're talking about retribution. So much harm is being done in the world, and retribution will be had, but it's not up to us to repay evil with evil.
Hi, this is Thomas Lagan with Lagan Music Inc., and I just happen to be Lori Scott's fiance. Just want to let you guys know that this episode of What's Been Better contains language that may not be appropriate for all listeners. Discretion is advised.
Okay, so let's talk about all the stuff that has been going on and
Girl.
retribution.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a lot.
And how? Yes, it's so much going on in this world. And I wonder if it's by design. I think it is.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
It is. It is. It's hard to be a person that gathers up a lot of information every day
Mm-hmm.
and see what information is being displayed. It's hard to have hope, but we have to at this point. Yeah, it's I can't say it is what it is, and I'm definitely not going to say that I believe that things will get better because, like I said a few episodes ago, I don't have faith in people anymore.
Right.
So, yeah, but it's where we are.
And in my perspective is that I know it's not going to get better, based on what I'm seeing and what I've been reading, and I can still have hope.
Yeah.
Now, it's not so much in people, but I have hope for the type of world in my mind that I want to be in while I'm here.
Yeah.
I have hope in how I move. And I realize that I can't depend on others to bring joy to me. And I can still find joy in the midst of sadness. And I think for some that might seem hard, but even in calamity, there has to be some solace.
Yeah.
And I think we can find it if we choose to.
I hope so. I have hope, but not as much as I had before. I guess is what I'm saying. Is like I want to have more hope. I wish for more hope. But all the examples are clouding the hope. So,
Right.
but I don't want to start off in like a negative way. But I mean, it's yeah.
Oh. It's the nature of things right now.
Yeah.
But I can ask you though, what's been better for you, in spite of all the things? There has to be a silver lining. We have to look for it, right? So Sylvia, what's been better?
What's been better? A lot of little things have been better. Strengthening relationships, lot of conversations with people who I didn't know were listening to the show. Thank you to all those people. Working out all the technical difficulties with the show has been like, okay, I can do this and not panic about it.
Right.
Had my first mammogram this week. I am now 40. I did not know that was a thing.
Oh, wow.
So that was it. It took a turn for a second because of the whole insurance thing. And I was like very upset about it. I mean, it was just this whole thing. And the people were so lovely.
Oh, well, congratulations to you for taking that on. And
I hope other people get it done.
That. Yes.
Yeah. And admit that you're doing it because we all have to do it. And I made a real connection with the lady who was doing the coding and the billing. She was wearing a hijab. And I wasn't quite sure because of how she had it tied. I wasn't quite sure. Was she a follower of Islam or not. And so I just asked her about the scarf, about how she had it tied. And then it just triggered this whole conversation about religion. And I said to her, I have a show, and this episode this week is about religion. And so we just talked about that, and talked about her conversion and her podcast. And so it was a
So
really,
she has one too.
yeah, it really
That's
eased my
beautiful.
mind in the whole process as well. And then not even a couple of hours later, I got the all clear that everything was fine, that the
The same
insurance
day?
thing was fine.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that the
Okay.
insurance was fine and the mammogram was fine.
What?
So I was like,
I didn't know you had, well,
there weren't
years
that many
ago.
people ahead of me that day.
Okay.
So I think like they didn't have anybody, you know. So that was also
Okay.
the reason why we were able to just sit and talk about all kinds of things. And yeah.
Well, that was good. Well,
it
how
was
did you
really
feel about
good.
the results?
I was overjoyed. You know, I stopped in my kitchen after I read the results and said, you know, thank you to the higher powers, because I know that a lot of people don't get those same results. And yeah, for a first try, not so bad.
That's beautiful. And I'm happy for you. Congratulations.
So yeah, that's what's been better for me. What about you? What's been better for you?
Well, my week has been, even though it's Thursday, it's been short, which is really good.
Yes.
So I enjoyed that. I've enjoyed my time with my boo, and being able to communicate without fighting. Like that's beautiful. It's so peaceful when you have differences of opinion and you're able to state them in harmony, you know, like that, at least have that type of harmony of being heard. That's better than years ago of having horrible ass relationships. You know,
I understand.
It's just a breath of fresh air. So that's good. You know, being in communication with my children, that's always good. So yeah. And I have a kind of a full house right now. And even that is still peaceful. Everybody's just kind of flowing in this space. So,
and is it peaceful also because, like, I'm not saying that you're demanding, but that's what you call for in your life. And so that's what's always going to come to you. Like it's peaceful because that's what you seek at all times.
Yes. And it's so funny because that's my mantra. Like it would be funny, like when you're, you know, you're laying down, going to sleep. It's funny what goes through people's minds. Right. And a lot of things that I say as I'm drifting off to sleep is, I have the peace that passes all understanding. That's what I say as I drift off to sleep.
I love it.
And so I claim that. I desire that. I will have that. And so that's going to be a part of this conversation today about what we choose to have. And that's, my dear, how you can have hope.
I got you.
You get what I'm saying? It's not about the people. It's about the hope. Because we all live in our own worlds or in our own movies, but we're living our individual lives collectively. It's a whole collection of people living their own, you know, whatever you want to call it, your own dream, your own book, your own movie, but you're still living this by yourself with others who live in their own
spaces. It's those interactions that are what need to be worked out, because they become this tangled web of nonsense if we let them get out of control. And I guess that's where I am, is I feel like things have gotten so far out of control.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering, like, I don't think we can put the genie back in the bottle, but is there some thread that we can pull that will kind of start to pull away at the stress of this, like take this knot out somewhere? And how do we collectively do it? Because it can't be just one person. It has to be a collection of people saying, that's it. We have to have peace. That's it. It's none of my business what you do with your body. That's it. We don't have to have a race war. That's it. I don't need this collection of guns. Like I'm I get what we're saying about like maybe it's by design, but also there has to be a design of like, let's fix this.
Well, it would be beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
but the hearts of many people are cold.
Yes.
And because the hearts of many people are cold, and there are more people who are bent toward evil than good,
Mm-hmm.
this world as we know it will cease to exist.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of things because of that. But it would seem like evil is going to outweigh good, but it's not.
I
It's
hope not.
about overcoming a world. And how do we overcome this world? We're trying to stay in this world. And I think so the words that I'm going to be speaking in this conversation might seem wild to some people.
Okay.
And I understand that. But I feel compelled to still say it. I think we try to live in this world. I think sometimes we try to escape death and we're afraid of it. But people need to know they're going to die. Everybody under the sound of my voice will leave here. They're not going to make it through.
Mm-hmm.
It's not meant for us to. Question is, what kind of life do you want to live while you're here? That's the question. And when things go on around you, how are you pulled in and pulled out? How are you affected? How do you let it affect you? That's going to be your choice.
I think we also have to figure out how to accept death, but not prepare to die.
Speak more about that.
We're still here until we're not.
Mm-hmm.
So while we're here, get busy living.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I think if we are always prepping and always trying to figure out, like, okay, yes, please have your will together, have your plot together, have a plan together. If you got to do paperwork about who's going to be your medical person that's going to answer all the questions, do all those things, your what is it called?
Or power of attorney.
Power of attorney. Get that stuff together. I get that. But once it's together, put it down and be done with it. You've made the plan. There's no need to keep planning on top of the plan.
Right. Right. I hear you.
You get what I'm saying? Like, and that's for anybody at any age. While you are still here, live in the now and do what you can while you're here. Enjoy what you have here. Realize, and it took me a long time to understand, a friend of mine asking, what do you have? Because I would always be like, I don't have this and I'm missing that and I didn't get to do this. And yeah, that's fine. But like, what do you have?
Right.
What are you capable of right now?
And speak on that, because it changes everything, which goes back to that frequency conversation we had last time.
Yeah.
What type of frequency do you want to live in? Because I promise you, there are people who drift in a space and they just flow, and life is good in spite of all the messiness, in spite of all the drama and vitriol and all the heinous issues that go on. Some people are just like oblivious to it.
Yeah.
And they are on a frequency, while there are other people who are always getting in trouble, get arrested, or, having some kind of calamity, having some car accidents. Just, it seems like they just, trouble just seems to follow them everywhere.
Yeah.
They're on that frequency. And guess what? Those two will never connect. They'll be just as parallel.
Right.
They won't even run into each other.
How do you disconnect from the calamities, the nonsense, all the things, but still not put your head all the way in the sand? You get what I'm saying? People who are able, and I say able as in like have the privilege of just being able to tune out. I I feel like, yeah, it's just a privilege that I'm not seeing I would be able to accept,
Mm-hmm.
but I see the benefit of it. It
Mm-hmm.
seems like such a like de-stressed life.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it.
Right. Well, I'm gonna give you an example. So if you're in a grocery store, right,
Mm-hmm.
and you see this baby crying,
Mm-hmm.
what do?
I'm gonna mind my business because I don't do kids.
Oh, is that burying your head in the sand?
Oh, damn, Lori, damn. Okay, touche,
You get what I'm
touche.
saying?
I get what you're saying.
You said it's not my business, and I'm not judging you for that because I'd be like, same thing,
True.
you know.
Okay.
But what you can do too, I mean, there's some level of compassion. Oh,
Yeah, I
you
get
know,
that.
and then we keep it freaking pushing
Yeah. Yeah.
because we know ultimately that that is not our responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And while I think about what's happened in this world, some things are a responsibility to speak out, right?
Yeah.
And that is what we're doing now. So I do what I can do,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how I still have peace in the midst of things, and that's how I keep my head out of the sand. I recognize that I'm not in control of people, and
Mm-hmm.
I also recognize that I'm in control of how I feel.
I'll give you that. Okay.
Right. And we're
Yeah.
all in control of that. So when you think about how do we get through this, it's understanding that we have a choice. We have a choice in how we feel about the things that happen around us and
Yeah.
that happen to us.
Yeah. I yeah, I got you. Damn, you got me on that with the baby. Um mm, yeah. It's just so much happening that is like it's very difficult to have conversations with people who all these things are happening that knowingly affect me, you, them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they go, oh, I don't watch the news, or I don't pay attention to politics, or I don't vote, or it doesn't matter to them. And I'm like, it really does matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like
But
we're losing rights day by day. We're losing people day by
mm-hmm.
day.
I
Like
get it.
it matters.
It matters, but guess what? It doesn't matter to them.
Yeah.
And because they live in a different world. You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
They choose not to be a part of that. And there is a humongous community of people like that.
Yeah. I I mean, I think that's why laws and bills are so easily passed
Mm-hmm.
because there are so many people who are like, that doesn't affect me. And it totally does.
But let me tell you this, which is might blow your mind. It might not ever affect them
No.
because they've decided in their mind that it doesn't affect them. They will move right through this world, and all the bills that get passed
Mm-hmm.
will never touch them.
Hmm. One day I'm gonna tap out. One day I'm gonna get on that level where these things just don't even phase me. And I'm gonna feel really bad about it probably for a minute.
Really?
And then yeah,
Okay.
I would if I made a choice today to say like it doesn't affect me or I don't care about like
Mm-hmm.
the abortion ban,
Mm-hmm.
I would lightweight be like upset at myself
How is that?
because I feel like um I could be part of the solution.
And you can be, and you are.
But I can't
And
be if I tap out.
well, you still can be and tap out. And I'll tell
How?
you how.
Okay.
Well, like for instance, and I'll kind of use myself as an example. One, I don't watch the news. I hear about the news, but I don't watch it. It's funny. It's kind of like an in and out. What I do is I pray, right? I think my prayers have more power than me speaking about my disgust about a thing that I can't necessarily make a big difference in, right?
Mm,
I don't appreciate this reversal of the Roe versus Wade. It is shocking. It's disheartening. It's saddening, right? However, I just voiced my opinion with my higher power.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so while I understand that a lot of people might not subscribe to that, and it's okay, I'm not saying to people that's what you should do,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm saying the thing that brings me peace is to speak about that and to speak about what I hope for, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
again, you have power right in your seat, right where you are, Sylvia.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not up to us to freak out and lose our shit over certain things just to be like, I'm for this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You can be for it in so many different ways.
Right. Right. I'll give you that. Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think
So yeah.
for me,
Mm-hmm.
what I've always done and what I probably will continue to do is provide information.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's my way of staying tuned in is like say the Voting Rights Act still not being passed. People
Mm-hmm.
might not know that it still is a thing, like it's still an issue that's still lying in a balance.
Mm-hmm.
Continuing to tell people like, hey, this is still a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Continuing to vote, continuing to be an informed voter
Right.
is my way of still being tapped in. I get what you're
Right.
saying about the people who are just like crazy about these things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not on that level anymore. I think in my previous gig, I kind of had to be on that level of like rebel rousing kind of.
Right.
I think it was really fueled by who I was surrounded by.
Interesting.
But yeah, I see the difference in what you're saying. Like my way of doing it is to just make sure that like people know where you still can get these healthcare services.
Mm-hmm.
People know what to avoid, what not to interact with because these things aren't provided, or the situation with the mass shootings. It has had
Right.
trickle down effects. It didn't just like everything wasn't over in Buffalo once the shooting happened. They've
Right.
had copycats every day since.
Really?
The Walmart near there has closed. I mean, I have people whose people are still there who live there. Like that's where they're from. So I'm getting like these bits and pieces of information from them. So things like that have continued to happen. And I think what has been not the copycats, it's the bullshit about like, what are we going to do now? And we need to make change and we need to have gun control. And you know that those things aren't going to get done. That's the part that's like, come on, y'all. Like, how many more times can we do this?
Right.
And then you have the trickle down effect of like, we're still not going to teach about race in schools. And obviously, in that particular situation, if he would have been better educated, maybe he would have made a different choice. But it's like I said a couple episodes ago, uneducated people make dumbass decisions.
That's true. However, it's a heart issue.
Yeah.
So it's education okay? Yes. In addition to that, it's a heart issue.
Mm-hmm.
How was the child raised?
Yeah.
Who is he around? Who are his influencers? And so, and I want to circle back when you talked about the rebel rousing where you were before and how emotionally, I guess, energized you were, and now you're not as. Is it because you're not in that same community of people, or what's different for you?
It's because I've distanced myself from that community of people. I think at the heart of it. And it's because I didn't agree with going that route. To me, you can provide people with information. You don't have to push I think you said this before, you don't have to push your agenda on them.
Right. And what did you notice about yourself when that was happening?
It was just a high anxiety situation to me at all times.
Right.
Of like, we got to get this done or the world's going to end, you know? I
Yeah.
remember a really tough situation that was happening East Atlanta off of over by the Starlight movie theater, the drive-in movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
Just down the road from there, the police are going to build what they call a police training facility.
Okay.
Now, what the group I was working with called it is Cop City. It's a very large facility. It's a very large piece of land that is a nature preserve and a former state penitentiary, like prison farm.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just all this like, we got to do this because the cops are going to take over and all these things. And I look back now at like what my writing was and what I was writing about.
Mm-hmm.
And I can hear myself buying into that narrative.
Mm.
Do I think that the police should have this facility? Hell no. Do I think that that Atlanta PD should be given this much money as they are? Hell no.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way of informing people of this happening that isn't so frantic? Yes.
Right.
And I don't think I was a part of a situation where we were doing that.
Mm-hmm. And now tell me now, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's different for you now that you're not there?
I have peace. I have peace and I have understanding that, no, I'm going to change that. I have peace and overstanding because I know that's what you said,
Mm-hmm.
that some people are going to do whatever they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to career politicians, they are definitely going to tell you one thing and do another.
Mm-hmm.
So there weren't enough people on this side of town, on east side of town, anybody below I-20. There weren't enough people with enough money to stop that situation.
Mm.
So for as many people that tried, for the 17 hours of public comment that happened at the time,
right,
it wasn't going to stop. It just
right.
wasn't.
And that's, what does that tell you then? As much as we can be connected to a situation and as much as we want something to change or be different, what did you notice?
I knew that it wasn't going to change, but I'm wondering now, all right, here we go again though. Did it not change because all of our mindsets were already defeated? You know how you say like what you want wants you back. If we all really believed and wanted for that to become a real nature preserve and a real place for retribution for the Muskogee Creek people whose land that originally was, maybe it would have been. But because we were all in this frantic divided, because it became very divided, of you had one group that was out like trying to just start shit, and you had another group that was the Buckhead group of like, yeah, put that, we need more police in those areas. No, we didn't, but okay. Then you had the informers who were like, hey, this is happening.
Right.
Then you have the politicians who are like, we want to get tough on crime. What crime?
Right.
You know, so it was like all these people working, but not working together.
Right.
And
Well,
not in the same mindset.
Right. I think people had their different agendas. And I think that's what life is about even now.
Yeah.
As things, calamities happen all around us. And yes, definitely what you want wants you back. But it could have been a majority of the thing that we didn't want came back. Right. And even as you do your part, and that's all we ever need to do in this world, is to do our best, to do our part, to live our truth, to fulfill our purpose in this world. And everybody has a job. Everybody has a job to do. Now, is everybody going to do that job? No.
Hell
They're
no.
not. They're not. But if we stay in our lane and do our part, yes, many things are going to come to pass. We're going to have a lot of winning battles. Will we win the war ultimately? I don't know about this world, Maybe not in this world.
Yeah.
But I think if we do our part, there is a blessing there while we're living in this world.
You know what I wonder? This some far off shit right now. When we say living in this world, I wonder, do we have to die for us to not be in this world? You get what I'm saying? Like, cause the world before, we were living in one hell of a weird world from 2016 to 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And then that world technically ended,
Mm-hmm.
but we're still here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, is there a way for this world to implode? You know, like the end of the Matrix, when they went to see the architect and the architect was talking way too damn much, but they blew everything up and they started over,
Mm-hmm.
and they were still there.
Right.
They just had a new world because they all decided, like, we're not doing this shit no more.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wonder, is that a possibility? I guess I'm thinking about these things in real time of, like, I was saying before, that like I had no faith in people, and I just don't think that we're gonna make it. And I you know, I guess. All right, hold on. Let me rephrase something. I was in this mindset and of this belief that we weren't gonna make it because I do watch the news. I do pay attention. So if my eyes are on North Korea, my eyes are on Russia.
Right.
My eyes are on the stupidity of strong men who have weak minds and weak hearts, but have access to nuclear weapons.
Right.
So that's why I was thinking, like, we ain't gonna make it. This ain't gonna work out. But
yes,
I wonder, are we going to make it, and those people aren't going to make it, and then that world will end?
Interesting.
You get what I'm like? It's a possibility. I mean, at the end of the day, everything is possible. Everything.
Yes, that's why I'm so glad, Sylvia, that you're in this space. And that's what I'm trying to say. If we tune out of a thing, because just like you tuned out of the place where you were because it was high intensity, for whatever reason, you got pushed out or you left. You see what I'm saying? But you, either way, you're not thinking along those lines. You're not on that frequency anymore. You're not on that frequency of thinking, and you have more peace. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that each space that we're in, as far as how we vibe, is a world in my mind. It's a place.
Wait, say more. Say more.
So
say more.
As peace for me, I don't focus on what's happening in the news, because that's going to draw me to a different emotion. That's going to draw me to a different feeling of anger, maybe of sadness, of grief, of hopelessness. I don't live there. And now that I know I have a choice in how I want to live in this world, that's where I want to dwell. And so in that space, a lot of things that bother other people don't bother me. And it's not that I don't care. I'm just choosing to have peace. And because I choose to have peace, I reap the benefits of all the things that peace provides for me.
I like
if you choose to be happy, if you choose to be sad, right? You are afforded all the things that sadness provides you.
Shit. Wait a minute. You are afforded all the things that sadness provides for you. So you could be afforded all the things that peace provides for you, if that's what you were seeking.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. If you're a jealous person, you reap everything that jealousy provides, everything that jealousy touches. You get it. And not to say that I stay in a peaceful place all the time. I am not Mary Poppins by no means.
I'm done.
I am not the Sound of Music woman, just the hills are alive. Like
no,
this.
Ma'am.
Although I love that song and I would love to be there twirling, that's not my reality every day. And it's funny because I just almost got ran off the road the other day, and I said a lot of things, and I went to do a lot of things to that big ass truck that just jumped in front of me. Like, I felt
I'm glad
some ways.
you're okay.
I was going to be okay. But I decided, Lori, do you chase this man down and, miss all your sessions that day?
No,
do you,
no,
or do
ma'am.
you just chill the fuck out and let that man go? And for a moment, I was enraged, and I
Hmm.
was afforded all the things an enraged person would experience. You see what I'm saying?
I
Like I,
do.
I tuned out. I was laser focused in. I wanted to get that sucker. I even thought about hurting him. Well, I ain't even have no gun. You see what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
that's what I'm trying to say. Every place that we're in a sense, that's kind of our world that we live in. And so it took a few minutes for me to pull out, and it still kind of lingered.
Hmm.
And so I had to make a decision. What do I choose to be right now? How do I choose to move away from that experience into another experience that's going to provide me the feeling that I really want to have? And when you think about that and you think about all the things that goes on in this world, that's one of the ways that you could allow yourself to be in it without really being in it.
It's the absorption of it. I mean, we are all sponges,
Mm-hmm.
even on a micro level.
Mm-hmm.
How else would we get water and nutrients?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's a matter of like, how permeable do you want to be?
Right. Right. And meanwhile, understand we allow retribution to be retribution, because it's not up to us, like it in that particular situation. It was not up to me to chase that man down and be like, do you know what you just did? He knew what
Hmm.
he was doing.
He knew.
Let that come back for him. Everything you do comes back. He cut me off. He's going to be cut off at some point,
Hmm.
and he's going to feel what he did, because he can't feel what he did to me. I felt what he did to me.
Mm.
And that young man who killed these people in Buffalo, the thing that you do comes back. And
Yeah.
even if it doesn't come back like literally, it's going to come back in your mind. It's going to come back in some way, because that is a promise and that is a principle, and principles don't change.
Say
And
more
if
about that, because it's I think it's difficult for people who are seeking retribution,
mm-hmm,
who don't see the retribution reciprocated.
right,
You just said, him, the guy in California, the guy in Milwaukee, or multiple people in Milwaukee, the people in Houston, all the different shootings that have happened,
mm-hmm,
all the mass shootings in general. They
mm-hmm,
don't even have to be what has happened in the last couple of days.
right,
However, I think we've had 200 shootings since the start of the year,
mm-hmm,
and there haven't even been 200 days.
right.
It's talk more. Will you talk more about? Yeah, retribution doesn't necessarily come back in the exact same form.
Right. Like, so these people kill people.
Hmm.
They might not be killed in the same fashion,
Right.
but
Right.
there's a killing that took place. Like, they set off to harm.
Hmm.
Harm will be done to them at some point.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm speaking of. And it might not necessarily be physical harm um like they did, the things that they did, but it's
Hmm.
coming. It's coming back, because that's a promise. Everything that you do comes back. Every word that comes out of your mouth comes back. Everything that you do comes back.
Hmm.
And that's not me saying it. It is life.
Yeah.
This is a part of the life that we live. It's
Right.
set up that way.
It's
It's like a law of cause and effect.
that's what I was just about to hit you with some physics. That
Exactly.
was
See, and you're the
definitely
physics
it.
person, right?
Yeah.
That is it.
That was a
So
straight Newton's law right there.
exactly,
Equal and
exactly.
opposite reaction. Action and
It's
reaction.
right. So because that's set up that way, if we let that happen and we let go of our responsibility to try to repay somebody else's, like, it's not for us to do that.
Yeah.
It's not even, because when we do that, we become them. We set in motion the thing
Right.
that we want to happen to them to happen to us.
Mm,
And it's a very fine line. And we have to stay in our lane.
yeah.
Even when some of the craziest things jump off, we have to remember who we are. We are
Mm,
not the ugly that's there unless we desire to become that by
right.
trying to bring retribution in our own hands. It's not for us to do that.
Now
Go ahead.
the the part that I will forever struggle with though is people do those things and then you see the loved ones like in complete forgiveness of those people. I find that like super difficult. All right, you did what you did. I'm not I don't think that there's this necessity to automatically be like, well, I forgive them for what they did. Like, no, they destroyed a world.
Mm-hmm.
Like forgiveness should be the last thing in my eyes. I'm not saying I gotta walk around and hate you,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not about to give you like any type of repentance for this. Like you
Right.
destroyed a world.
Right.
You
Right.
ripped people's lives apart. Like just rip them apart. The last thing you're getting is forgiveness from a person that you've harmed.
Right.
I don't know how you do that. I mean, you are way more practiced at this than me, but I'm
Well,
not
I
saying
don't.
that you got to resent the person. I'm not saying
Uh,
that you have to that you give them repentance. I'm not saying any of those things. But what I am saying is that like giving them forgiveness to me makes it okay. Like makes what they did all right.
it could be. I mean, some could look at it like that,
That's
and
wild.
and I would say, some days I vacillate between that. Just kind of like I said yesterday, there was no forgiveness in my mind for that person who cut me off in
Mm-hmm.
that second. But I promise you, I'm practicing to release myself from that feeling that comes over me when I feel like somebody has done me wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think sometimes people say they forgive with their mouths, but they might not really be, Sylvia, forgiving with their hearts.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's not for me to, neither one of us to judge that, but I'm just saying it takes a great deal um to forgive. And then it can get easier and easier because what we understand, or I hope the understanding would be, we're not in charge of anything.
No.
I think that is the thing. So it becomes easier to forgive when you understand that I'm not in charge of this. I'm not in charge of this body, even. You know, all I am to do is to do my best in this world. So if
Mm-hmm.
somebody comes to take my body, they can't take my spirit.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
So you can do whatever you do to this body, but you can't take my soul.
All right. I'm still not forgiven, but okay. I got what you say. What
Okay.
I always say, I'm growing. I'm not grown. I'm growing. Yeah.
And that's okay. That's the whole point. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like we give ourselves compassion as
Mm-hmm.
we grow in this world. And
Yeah.
my hope is that as we do what we're doing in this space, is to give people the information so they can choose better.
Right.
They can be freer. And what more freedom is more peace. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Let's free our minds of all the things that cloud it, all the things that give us despair. Because to refuse to forgive someone, does that free you, or does that hold you in bondage?
I don't know, but all right. Here's where I say that I find it difficult about the when the family's like, it's okay, I forgive you, whatever, like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now that person is forgiven. So now here comes the next one.
I
Because you've
see what
made it
you're saying.
okay. You've
Yeah,
technically made it okay.
right. But
They'll
but
get
no.
forgiven.
Well, but
No.
that's where retribution comes in.
Okay.
Just because we say we forgive you, that's freeing ourselves. It's not freeing them.
Oh shit.
I'm freeing myself from thinking about your ass every time that comes up. I forgive you.
Okay.
Go on about your business. It's not to say you have, you're open to do this thing again. No.
I'll give you that. But you see what I'm saying about like people's interpretation of like if you think of the case of Botham John, who was in his own apartment eating ice cream, and here comes the white lady cop into his apartment, even though she lived on a completely different floor, thinking that he's a robber in his own place and murders him. And his family, the judge, all the people at there, we forgive you, and crying and hugging this lady. And I was thinking to myself, I hope his spirit is haunting all of them forever, because I will be damned. I get what you're saying. Make peace with it. Let it go. However, I don't want her to go to sleep at night and feel like everything is okay now, or I've been forgiven, or no.
Right.
You destroyed a life.
Right. But this is the other thing too. There's so much that we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying about that particular situation. We don't know. And that's all I can say. Other things, I mean, it leads to speculation if we go there.
What you mean, Lori?
Right. Like there could be a lot of stuff behind the scenes as relates to that. And this forgiveness thing, and they hugging, like the judge
that
hugged
was wild.
her.
That
you see what I'm saying?
Wild.
So like, I don't know about that. And I
don't know.
And so I just, when I see certain things that don't make sense to me, I back away because it leaves speculation starts to kick in. And I'm like, and I don't know. Like, it doesn't matter what I can conjure up in my thought process about how fucked up that looked in my mind.
Right. But I'm saying on the surface, I'm just saying on the surface, those things that happen. Right. I literally turned to family and friends and I said, y'all better not ever. I'm coming for you at night. When you close your eyes, you will see me. When you wake up in the morning, you will see me. I will be sitting on the edge of your bed. Do not.
Right.
And I'm not saying don't make peace with the situation, but what I am saying is like, we're not letting people off this easily who do this type of evil.
Right. Right.
And the hard part is like, I'm a believer in karma.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, I understand everything comes back around.
It does. Yeah.
But I'm not about to like make it easier for you. That's what I feel like.
I get it, but that doesn't make it easier. I will tell you that. But it might seem like that.
Okay.
And so I guess from my perspective, to look at that, it could be, I forgive you. Again, go about your way. Peace.
Yeah.
And keep it pushing. And the only thing I can think about, if this were being, were me, and I don't truly know because nothing like that has happened to me. And I know for sure that you don't know what you'll do until it happens to you.
Of course.
But my hope is that in that second, I can learn to detach, because I think in detaching, like not taking it so personally that I want to harm, because again, it's an invitation to me to become like that person, right?
I'll give you that.
The vengeance is right there. It's always waiting when something is done to you, especially to your family members or somebody close to you. It's a beautiful invitation to do the same thing. And you have to be careful, because just like that, you can lose your freedom, all of that.
Right. And better than the other person.
Right. So if you lean toward forgiveness, it frees you from that desire to harm. And it might look like you're giving this person some easy way out, but it saves you.
I hope so.
It's a saving grace.
Yeah.
Because you can sleep at night.
That's why it's called grace and mercy. Yeah. That's why it's called grace and mercy. I understand. Yeah, that would be something that I would have to practice, because
let's practice on the small things.
Yeah, That
because if you don't practice now, when it hits, you ain't gonna be able to you won't be able to call on it because you hadn't been doing it.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah. I get that. I get that. I hope that the families of all the people that were affected in the last couple of days and out of any of these situations, because they have happened, and until real things are done about them, they will probably keep happening. I don't want them to. I don't want them to. I wish that they would stop.
Right.
I pray that they would stop.
Yeah. My heart goes out to everyone affected as well. My heart and my prayers and calling for peace and just like a warm hug. If I could just give them a warm hug, and in my mind I'm doing that just to let them know that their loved one, they're definitely not suffering, in this space and time. Right. I don't know what else is happening in another realm because I am not there. But just to know that they're relieved from what's taking place in this world right now. And I hope that gives them a little bit of peace. Just to know that they're not suffering.
Yeah. That same. Ditto. I really do call for those people to have peace, because it is unimaginable to see all of these things at once and have to go through them. And and please, to all the people that want to make money off of this and want to get something out of it and get a bigger name, or leave those people alone. Let them have this moment by themselves, to themselves. Because that's another thing I think is a struggle for people. They can't even get to that point of starting to make peace, because here come whoever wants to be on the camera, want to be all in the videos and all in the way of making that peace.
Right.
So I think that's I'm lost for words at this point, because it's too many of these over and over. It's too many other things over and over. And I'm going to practice the small things of trying to distance myself from so much information that is in the negative.
Yes, Sylvia, that is it.
Yeah.
Because it will take you over, just like in the job that you were in. The influence is there. We have to choose what we allow to penetrate us.
Yeah.
We have to choose it now. And we have to practice deciding how we want to be.
Yeah.
Our words are very, very powerful. And what we say out of our mouths become true for us. Right. Everything that comes out of our mouths. So if we declare, hey, I want my surroundings to be pure, I want the people I interact with to be harmonious, it is so, because you're going to set that emotion. But if we're carelessly just, allowing anything and everything to just come into our experience, then that's what we'll get, any and everything.
Yeah. This is going to take a lot of cultivating of what I interact with on a daily basis in order to be able to do that. So, yeah.
It's being intentional. And I tell my clients, every night before you go to sleep and every morning when you wake up, set an intention for how you want your sleep to go, how you want your day to go. Set that intention and watch it come to pass, because it will. And what were you going to say?
I was agreeing with you.
Yeah. And there are going to be things that happen to us in our lives that are that adversities that come up. And even the adversities, set an intention for how you want to deal with it. Because we know that the day will go and things will come up. How do you want to handle it? And we speak it and watch it happen.
All right. I think we got homework. We all got some work to do. Like at that point, that's it. I have my assignment. I'm going to go overstand it and figure it out. Thank you, Lori.
I wish everyone peace at this time. That's it for this week's show. I'm Lori Scott.
And I'm Sylvia Johnson. And you've been listening to What's Been Better.
A big thank you to Lagan Music Inc. for providing our music. This show is edited and produced by us with a little help from our family and friends. We love you all.
We want to hear what's been better for you this week. So send us a voice message or an email to questions@whatsbeenbetter.com. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at What's Been Better Podcast.
Thanks for listening.